Let's get on with it. We'll begin with Bill English. It was a State of the Nation speech that included some autobiography, some homespun wisdom, some big picture perspectives, some micro discussions about the benefits of social investment, and a sense that Bill English wants to build a fence at the top of the cliff. But its headline package was an extra $500 million on police. That will fund 1,100 new police staff over the next 4 years, 880 of whom will be frontline police officers. But this is crowded real estate in New Zealand politics. Last October, Labour promised a similar number. New Zealand First promised more, saying it would be a condition of any coalition agreement. I spoke to Bill English just before we went to air and asked him why he picked police as his opening salvo as Prime Minister.
Well, because we're ready to go now, and it fits in with the broader story that I'll be articulating as a Prime Minister and national will through the year. You know, we've got a strong economy, government books in good shape, so we get to make some choices which are, sustainable choices that are going to make New Zealand a better place. And this is one that that's been in the pipeline now for 6 or 8 months. The work's been done, the homework's been done, and so we decided to talk about it, announce it today, in the context of the background story of my views about the New Zealand economy and some of the things we want to achieve.
OK, I don't want to devote precious time to this because there's lots of things to discuss. But if we go back to October, Andrew Little talking, in fact, to the Police Association conference. Today I'm proud to announce that Labour will hire 1,000 more police officers in our first term. Winston Peters talking about 1,800 police officers over a period of years. In other words, your hand was forced somewhat by the fact that the people who want your job were already doing this.
Well, look, I think that overrates their influence, which you wouldn't be surprised about with opposition parties, and also they're just indulging in the traditional election year politics of generating a big number without doing the homework. So
right. And you're not. And you're not.
No, we're not, because we've spent 6 or 7 years digging very deeply, more deeply than ever, actually.
You spent 6 or 7 years, sorry to interrupt, but you spent 6 or 7 years being fairly parsimonious for the police force. If we go back to Budget 14, total spending on police fell slightly from 1.5 billion to 1.46, meaning it had barely risen in 5 years. Anne Tolley, the police minister, told the police that in order to have pay rises, they would have to find savings.
And they did find some, because they had to accommodate 600 more police that were instituted from the beginning of 2009. And then we made a significant investment in police mobility tools, which the front line really like, that freed up something like another 350 equivalent frontline police, because they don't have to go back to the station to fill out the forms anymore.
Okay.
So there's been continuous growth in capacity.
Okay.
Crime was dropping. It's picked up a bit. Now's the time.
Crime has been dropping. Can we talk about what seemed to me to be a speech of two halves? The first half was a bit of autobiography, a bit of homespun wisdom, a bit of your life experience, lots of your sense that social investment is the answer. There was a real sense that you are saying we can do better building a fence at the top of the cliff rather than simply having ambulances at the bottom of the cliff. And then lo and behold, the only truly material announcement you make is $500 million in extra police. Did you have a failure of nerve in terms of actually funding social investment, or is that going to come later?
Well, there certainly will be more of that later. How it's turned out, though, is the police play a pretty critical role, particularly for our dealing with the hardcore sort of social issues that flow over into regular crime. A good example is the burglary issues, which have become more prominent lately. Average age of burglars apprehended age 16. So you can imagine there's a lot of social context around those young people.
And if we look at your speech, you actually identified those young people as early as, 5 years old? I mean, you're able to say at 5 years old how kids are going to turn out, right, in about 1,000 New Zealand families? Yeah,
roughly. I mean, you can't predict exactly what's going to happen to everyone. But
sorry, and I didn't mean to be glib about that, but there is a greater likelihood in a small number of families that things are going to go awry, right?
That's right, and you'll find again that the police may be will know those families because of, for instance, regular family violence offending or regular call-outs. So as we've got into this approach, the police have a lot of knowledge and understanding. So one of the reasons we need more of them is first to deal with crime now, because there's more serious crime, child abuse, violence, family violence. We're digging up more of it. It's got to be dealt with more expeditiously. And we don't want to but at the same time, to maintain the broader social approach, they need time and resource, because it takes time to deal with family violence effectively, when you've got 6 agencies and kids and schools.
Absolutely,
and everything involved.
but surely the very heart of your ideas around social investment, and I know this is dear to you, and I think people who follow politics know this is dear to you, is something more imaginative, more visionary, less orthodox than putting a whole lot of new police officers out there.
Well, the next phase there will be the launch of the new children's ministry, Oranga Tamariki, which is taking going through a process right now of a pretty fundamental shift in how we deal with our most disadvantaged children. So it's a complete change in that system. It's not just, a bit of a pilot or whatever. It's changing the whole thing. And what's impressive there is that so many of the people who do deal with our most disadvantaged children are supporting the direction, endeavouring to make it work, because they can see that the government is committed to a significant investment,
right,
and a different way of doing it.
I need to stop you there, because significant investment is an important phrase. They need more money to make this work. Is that coming in the budget?
Well, some of the solutions are about that, but for instance, we've been running, they've been running some work on how to get services for kids who need them much more quickly. So a lot of services are, and they're finding that a lot of services are available, health services, specialised education support, but for too many of these children with really big challenges, it just takes too long. So actually more money isn't what's needed. What's needed is better organisation and timeliness of the service.
And how did you address that today? I mean, if this is the State of the Nation speech, this is your first big set-piece speech as Prime Minister, how did you address that really important stuff today?
Oh, well, I think I outlined the approach that the government's taking. This is a first policy off the blocks. I think it does deal with an issue of broader community concern, the growing rate of burglaries, concerns that people can't access police services the way they want to, and that's important. You've got to listen to what the community's talking about, as well as pursuing, the longer-term government direction. And so you will see out through the year, in fact, over the years in the future, more innovative change about how it works. But you just got to talk to police who work on the front line, and they can tell you how much policing has changed over the last 4 or 5 years, partly the influence of some very good leadership, and partly the influence of the policy on agencies they deal with.
The Prime Minister, Bill English, speaking to us earlier.